Firstly, I'd like to say that everything from this episode is not medical advice from the professionals. It is purely from my own experiences and my journey with ulcerative colitis. So please, proceed with speaking to your doctor or consultant before following any medical advice given. Hello and welcome to the Thoughts of Colitis podcast. I hope you're doing okay and staying safe. If you want to know more about me, check out my Instagram page called Thoughts of Colitis. I'm aiming to raise as much awareness as possible for the chronic illness and the mental health community. I won't take up too much of your time, and I hope I can help at least one person throughout my podcast journey. Whether you're going for a walk, sitting on a sofa, sit back, relax, and welcome to the Thoughts of Colitis podcast. Hello and welcome back everyone to the Thoughts with Colitis podcast. Firstly, I want to say thank you so much for the support on the first episode, where I speak about why it's okay to not be okay. It is honestly amazing that so many of you resonate with the things I talk about and you're able to take something positive from it. In today's episode, I'm going to be speaking about my journey with ulcerative colitis. I want to go into detail as not many of you know my whole journey from start to present day, so I thought this would be the best way to get my story across. Now let's start the episode where I speak about my journey with ulcerative colitis. Hello and welcome back everyone. Hope you're all doing okay and staying safe and having a great day. I'll start off with my symptoms. When I was a kid, I would always need the bathroom, especially in the mornings, like before school. And a lot of the time, I wouldn't be able to go into school because my stomach would play up and I wouldn't be able to make it. I didn't know where it was. My parents didn't know where it was. As a kid, I didn't want to go to the doctors. So I just continued with life and just made the best of the situation that I was given. So yeah, fast forward to 2018, I've had a normal life. I've had a okay teenage life where my stomach wasn't playing up and stuff like that. In 2018, I started losing blood for the first time, and this was before a night out. I was already drinking, and I started to lose a lot of blood, and I didn't really think much of it really. I thought, oh, this is quite scary, but continued with my night, went out, had a few to drink. And it continued for about 2 or 3 weeks. Started losing blood again, and I went to the doctors and they wanted me to have a colonoscopy. And I thought, oh, like I've never had this before, and I have to admit, and you guys know, it's not really the most comfortable thing to have. And so things actually started getting better after about week 3. Things went back to normal, and I thought nothing really of it. And me being me, and being stupid, I actually didn't go for the colonoscopy when I was asked to, and that is my biggest mistake to this day, because if I was checked in 2018, I wouldn't be in the situation that I am now, because I would have probably been diagnosed earlier on. So after those 2 years, around February 2020, my symptoms started again. I was going to the toilet about 30 times a day. I went to the doctors and they didn't do much. All they gave me was some laxatives. And I thought, I don't really need laxatives because I'm going 30 times a day. I need to stop going as many times a day. So 2 weeks later, I went to A&E. I got really bad. I was really fatigued and I didn't know what was happening because I had no name for what my condition was. So when I was at A&E, after a couple of hours, they actually sent me home. They said there's not much we can do. And we thought, well, there must be, because I'm in a lot of pain and I need help. So I went home, and later that night I was in extreme agony, like the worst I've been. And so we called an ambulance and they took me straight to hospital. I waited 32 hours for a bed. It was extremely uncomfortable. I was laying on 3 chairs to try and get some sleep. This was when COVID was starting, and we actually had a case in the hospital the night that I was admitted. And it was quite scary because we didn't know what was happening. We didn't really know what COVID was, and we were all told to stand outside and wait an hour or so to go back in until they can clean everything and stuff like that. So after an hour or so we went back in and waited until I got a bed. So yeah, I was in hospital for around 2 weeks. I was doing lots of stool tests and I actually had a flexioscopy. I wasn't able to have a full colonoscopy because I was too inflamed. I potentially had ulcerative colitis, I wasn't 100% sure, but they wanted to do a full colonoscopy to double check, but I couldn't have that done while I was there because like I said, I was too inflamed. So they put me on steroids, they put me on a medication called Octaza, which is supposed to just help ease the stomach. And I was also put on some other medication, which I can't remember. Towards the end of my 2 weeks, I was only allowed one visitor per day, and for only 1 hour per day. I was extremely alone. I was isolated. Obviously I had people in the hospital, but I didn't have my family with me throughout the day. And yeah, that was definitely a tough time. I wanted to leave the hospital before the lockdown started. Obviously at this point we had no idea what was happening with COVID. We had no idea how serious it was. So I asked if I could be discharged as soon as possible before lockdown started because I didn't want to be stuck in there. So yeah, I was discharged from hospital after being in there for 2 weeks, and I was home for about a week before the lockdown started. And I have to admit, it wasn't that difficult because I was still unwell. I was getting a little bit better, but I was still stuck indoors. I was still isolated away from all my friends and some family members and stuff like that because I couldn't go out. I want to fast forward to July, August time, which was when I had a colonoscopy, and I was officially diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. I still say that I was diagnosed March 2020 because that was when my symptoms started, and that was when I had the potential diagnosis. I have to admit, I didn't take it too seriously. I still ate some fast food, drank some alcohol on occasions. There was one time I actually got really drunk and my symptoms actually set back quite far, and yeah, it didn't do me any good. So since then, I had a couple of alcoholic drinks, New Year's Eve 2020, and from then, I haven't touched alcohol since. So I'm about 1.5 years sober, and being such a young age, I would never think I would have to cut out alcohol, and it's the best thing I've done because I've learned to have fun without it and how to cope with being judged because it's different. You're doing something different from everyone else, and some people understand it, some people respect it, and some people don't. But you're doing it for you, and if you can get through the boundaries of enjoying yourself without alcohol in your system, then you have done an amazing job and you have smashed it. I'll be completely honest here, this year went by so fast. It was a complete blur for me, and this whole year I can't really say much about what happened because yeah, I can't really remember much of it because we were still in lockdowns, and yeah, it was a tough time. So yeah, I want to fast forward to March 2021, a year after I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. My doctors wanted to start me on a biological injection called adalimumab. It's a weird name, I know. I don't know why they have these random names. I wish they could just make them so much more simpler. But yeah, I started on adalimumab, and that can take about 3 months for it to start working. So I started the injections. I was doing it every 2 weeks, and I didn't really see much of a difference. And then fast forward to August that year, I was scared to eat anything. My calorie amount was about 600, and I was in a constant flare-up. And this was the worst time of my life. I was losing a lot of blood. I was going to the toilet again for about 30 times a day. I've been losing weight slowly over the past year, but I was 16 stone before my diagnosis, so I had some weight to play with. But at this point, I was 8.5 stone. This was the skinniest I've ever been, and I was about a stone or two underweight. And I just wasn't happy with myself. I was in a lot of pain. Like I said, I was losing a lot of blood, and it was tough. And 2 weeks before I got to 8.5 stone, I actually was 10.5 stone, and I lost 2 stone nearly in 2 to 3 weeks. That was the quickest I've ever lost weight, and this is when I realised I needed to get some help. So I actually spoke to someone privately about having surgery, but I saw my consultant 2 days after to get a second opinion, and they tried sending me home with the same medication that I've been on for the past year. And I thought, I need some help, I need to be monitored, I need to be checked, and obviously when you're in hospital they can't see the pain you're in, so I wanted to be admitted to hospital so they can keep an eye on me and actually understand the pain that I was going through. But as soon as my mum mentioned about my mental health being bad and having suicidal thoughts, because I thought my life was over, I had no quality of life. It is okay to have those thoughts, but we need to open up and speak about how we're feeling. And as soon as I mentioned about my mental health being bad, I had a bed within 2 hours. And it's a shame really that they couldn't understand the pain I was going through. they were only able to give me a bed because I said I had suicidal thoughts. Now this time I was in hospital for about 10 days. I had a colonoscopy, which was the scariest time of my life, because the results from the colonoscopy, they said that I was severely inflamed and I lost a lot of blood. And in some way, I was kind of hoping they would decide to do the surgery there and then, because when you hear the word surgery, you're scared about the build-up and waiting for it to happen. So at that point, I wanted it to happen like there and then, and just get it over and done with. But I went back to the ward, and I actually realised that my Octaser wasn't dissolving as it should, because the Octaser tablet is meant to help ease the stomach, and if it wasn't dissolving, it's not doing the job it's supposed to do. So they actually gave me Pentasa instead, which is the same tablet, but it's in like a granule form. I actually asked about changing my tablets before, and they said there's nothing they can do. So it's a shame they only changed the tablet then, because I could have had this earlier on, and it could have helped. And it did. It helped massively. It eased my stomach cramps, it eased my toilet trips, and yeah, I just started feeling better in general. And they actually gave me an anxiety tablet as well to help me sleep, and that really helped, but I have to admit, it knocked me out completely. I was able to sleep at night. I was able to get a decent night's sleep, because the past month I wasn't able to, because I was up going to the toilet about 8 times a night, and not getting a decent night's sleep really doesn't help, and being fatigued as well, yeah, it's just on another level of pain. While I was in hospital, they realised the biological injection I was taking, called adalimumab, it wasn't working properly. I was on it for about 2 months. Yes, you need to wait about 3 months, but at this point I was extremely underweight and I needed to try something different to get me better, because yeah, I was losing weight by the minute and I was extremely unhealthy. So they started me on the Stelara to see if it helped, and I had it on the last day of hospital before I was discharged. I had it done within the infusion instead of the injection. So I actually started to see improvements and less bathroom trips. Yes, I think that was because of the Pentasa granules, but I started feeling better. So I was actually discharged around day 10. Over the next couple of months, I was able to put on some weight. Yes, it was slowly, but it's progress at the end of the day. And I was able to start the gym, and at that point, I was feeling the best I've felt in a long time. Mentally, I just felt on top of the world. I was feeling better, I was doing okay. Yeah, in my eyes, I was smashing life, because I wasn't in the pain that I was in 3-4 months ago. And having that feeling of feeling better, there's nothing better than that. And at this point, I was tapering down on my steroids. I was on about 7 milligrams as January came along, and my symptoms actually started to come back. I started to get worse. And at this point, I just thought to myself, why is this happening to me? Because I was feeling better. And like I said, I felt like I was on top of the world. I was smashing the gym, I was able to get back into work, I was feeling better, and I felt, like I said, on top of the world. But no, I started just to go downhill rapidly again. I started to lose blood again, I was going to the toilet up to 10 times a day. Yeah, my mental state just took a toll. So they actually put me back on 20 milligrams of steroids again to help ease the pain and ease my toilet trips. At the moment, I'm still on 20 milligrams of steroids, and it's just a waiting game at the moment. And my doctors actually have spoke to me about possibly trying a different biological injection, as they don't think Stelara is working. I've been on it for about 7 months now, I think, roughly. So yeah, I'm hoping there's something different that I can try, and hopefully I see improvements from that. I've seen some improvements from being on prednisolone again. So yeah, I'll see if there's any difference when I taper down from the medication. I feel like I tapered down a bit too quick last time, so this time I'm going down a lot slower. And yeah, I'm just going to wait for the phone call in the next couple of days and just go from there. So I've just had the phone call with my doctor and my consultant. Option 1 is to have the stoma operation within about 6 weeks, which as soon as I heard those words, it shook me up quite a lot. And it's normal to feel like that. It's normal to be scared. So option 2 is to try a new biological injection, and this one is called Vidu. I'm not sure about the full name, but this one will be done by a infusion for the first 3 times, and then I'll go on to the injections. My decision for this is I'm going to try the injection, because if I went for the operation, I'd always think to myself, what if I did try the Vido injections and it gave me remission for years to come, or even months to come? Like, if it gave me remission for a little bit, it would be worth it. So part of me, I was kind of hoping that there wasn't another option, because when you're given the option to have surgery, you don't want to have surgery, so you're going to go for the easy option. That way I wouldn't have a choice and I'll just go and get it done. But for now, I'm going to try the Vido injection and see how I get on, and just go from there. Yes, it's going to be tough, and it's going to be a struggle, because this is the last option that I can try before having to have the operation. And I have you guys to thank for making me feel okay about having surgery, because before I spoke to you guys and joined this amazing community, I had no idea that there was so many positive outcomes from having surgery. I used to think it was always a bad thing. But seeing you guys and the way you guys raise awareness and the lives that you guys can live, it's made me feel so much more positive about having an operation. Yes, I'm still scared, and that's okay. It's okay to feel scared. I also had my inflammation levels come back from my stool sample, and the levels was around 1800. The normal amount for an average person should be around 250. Last March I was on about 280 because I was on a high dosage of steroids, and that reduced the inflammation levels. But at the moment my level is on 1800, so it's quite bad, and it's the worst it's ever been for me. I've got my Stelara injection that I've still got to take next week, and I'll just go from there. And then in a few weeks I'll then have my Vido injection via the infusion. And at the end of the day, your health is important, and if you need to have it done, you need to have it done. And it will be okay. I hope you all have enjoyed this episode where I speak about my journey with ulcerative colitis. I've wanted to get my story across in a lot of detail for some time now, and I'm hoping this allows other people to understand what we all go through when dealing with a chronic illness, and to also normalise opening up about our stories to hopefully inspire other people to do the same. This way we can all help raise awareness for invisible disabilities. If you have gotten this far, I want to say thank you so much for listening and being here throughout my journey. If you have enjoyed it and are able to take something from this episode, a share would go a really long way with spreading awareness for Crohn's and colitis. I'm aiming to post these episodes on Sundays. My goal is to post weekly, but sometimes life gets in the way, so there will be episodes every week or fortnight for the foreseeable. I'll keep you all updated on my Instagram stories. Hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next episode, and take care.